Hey, good morning. I'm here, Mr. Robinson. We got some learning going on for you guys because guess what? I already know the material, right? Because I made all these slides and whatnot. But I'm going to explain it to you. Now, this is important. Just like every day, it's important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. It wasn't important. Today, we're looking at the Spanish-American War. Okay, so it is one of only five conflicts that the United States has been involved in where the United States has declared war. From American History 1, which I also teach, the United States declared war against Great Britain in 1812 and then Mexico in 1846. Okay, so this is the third time that America declares war. The other two times we'll also study World War One and World War Two. I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. All right, got the tie on, got my game face on. It's a work day. Let's go. So, Spanish American War. Here we go. Now this is in 1898 that the actual war starts, but there's some little bit of background here. America always had an interest in Cuba. Why would America be interested in Cuba? Well, there's a few reasons. One, the location. Location means everything, right? So Cuba is only 90 miles away from the United States. It's very close. The United States had attempted to buy Cuba from Spain. Spain owned Cuba. So the Spanish Empire, what you have to realize is the Spanish Empire had Spain, all of South and Central America. At one point, Spain had a rule over that, right? Because what is every nation? What do they speak down there in South and Central America? Besides Brazil, Brazil speaks Portuguese, but all the other countries they speak Spanish. All right, because they were colonized by the Spanish, by Spain. So, but at this point, Spain's empire has dwindled. They are no longer a significant power in Europe or even in the world at this point. Their power has dwindled. Their empire has dwindled. All these countries have gotten independence. So in 1854, the United States tried to buy Cuba from Spain. Cuba, because it's trying to hold on to its last little diamond in its empire, its last little jewel, says we'd rather see, or Spain trying to hold on to Cuba, said we'd rather see Cuba sunk in the ocean than sell it to the United States, trying to hold on to their last little bit of glory. So in Cuba, Cuba has seen all these other countries in South and Central America get its independence. Now Cuba's in the Caribbean, so it's not in South America; it's in the Caribbean, right near the United States there. But they had tried very many times to get independence, and they were starting to rebel. So what Spain did was they sent their guy Verlano Weyler to basically restore order, to get all of these Cubans in line. And so what he did was, the American Republic's reaction to this is important. What he did is he basically herds all these Cubans into concentration camps to stop their rebellion. He's like, all right, you guys want to rebel? We're going to treat you harshly. We'll see if you really still want to rebel after this. Well, so they puts them in concentration camps. A lot of disease is happening. They're treated very badly in these concentration camps. What happened with that was the American press or the American newspapers, media, started publishing the accounts of what Spain was doing to the Cubans. In the meantime, they were exaggerated. Now, the Cubans were treated harshly by the Spanish, no doubt. But in many cases, the American press, with William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer, there, the New York Times and the New York World were the two newspapers. They exaggerated accounts of Spanish brutalities to try. The reason they do this is one. Well, what does the press try to do? They're trying to sell stories. So they're trying to make money. They figure, hey, we exaggerate some things, people will buy what we're selling, and then we're going to make more money But the other effect it had was it it fueled war fever for the American public. They started reading these accounts and they're like, wait, America's a land of democracy. Cuba is our neighbor, only 90 miles away. They're being treated like this. We need to go in there and establish democracy in Cuba and be the good big brother that we are, that we think we are. And so that's the idea with a lot of this American sentiment for war. Again, a cause of that is the yellow journalism or the yellow press. So here's some other causes. All right, the DeLong letter was a letter written by a Spanish diplomat. It criticized our president. Our president at the time was William McKinley. Called him weak, and it angered many Americans. Well, this is kind of the idea behind it. All right, look, you can we can talk bad about our president, or I can talk bad about my family, but don't let someone else come in and talk bad about our family, right? So, hey, people in America all the time criticize our government and leaders in our government. They may have criticized Barack Obama, criticized Donald Trump, but it's a little bit different when another country criticizes one of our leaders. Like, wait a second, hold on now, you're not even like involved with us. Is the idea? So like I may criticize my brother, but if someone else criticizes my brother, I'm going to get a little irritated with that. And so this DeLong letter was published, and Americans got even more angrier with the Spanish. Now the big one of the big calls basically that just sets it all off for American involvement is McKinley sent one of the new battleships that America had just just uh, just produced. Because remember, part of imperialism was strengthening American military. He sends the USS Maine to Havana Harbor. The USS Maine goes to Havana, our brand new battleship, state of the art, goes to Havana and boom, blows up. So no one knew why it blew up. All right, why is this brand new battleship getting blown up? But the American newspapers, the yellow journalism, yellow press, said, or the Spanish blew it up. Again, that's to sell more newspapers. But the effect it had was everybody assuming the Spanish blew it up, and they saw it as an act of war. Okay, we need to go and get Spain, right? We need to go get some revenge on the Spanish. And so this is what leads America into the Spanish American War. Now, no, I want you to note this. It's known as the Spanish American War, but the war is an imperialistic war because it was fought in either Spain or America. There was no battles in either place. It was fought in all foreign lands, an imperialistic war, meaning trying to exert influence on a foreign people. So we're fighting Spain over Cuba, which is neither in America or it's in Spain. So this is a little bit different. That's why this is part of the imperialism era and unit that we study. So the war takes off, all right. And the first battle actually also it takes place in Cuba, but the first battle took place in the Philippines, which is in the Pacific. All right, it's not even near Spain or near America. And so what happens there is there's battles going on there, and a lot of the American military members were African Americans, and so this is important. The forces were still segregated at this time. Another big thing that you need to know out of this, the war doesn't last long, right? It only lasts about five months. But one, we already studied this guy, Teddy Roosevelt, who later becomes the 26th president of the United States. He leads a regiment called the Rough Riders in a battle at San Juan Hill. Now, this battle has a big effect on the war and America winning the war. And Teddy Roosevelt gets fame from this battle because he kind of led the regiment. And so the Rough Riders, that propels him to become McKinley's next vice president, which then in turn leads to him becoming the president of the United States because McKinley, what happened to him when he got shot and he died. So that's kind of the course of the war. The war was not very long. So it's known as a splendid little war. The last slide here, the Treaty of Paris. Now, not to be confused with, there's been several other Treaty of Parises. Okay, there was a Treaty of Paris which ended the French and Indian War. There was a Treaty of Paris which ended the Revolutionary War. Both of those are in America One, which if you don't know, I teach that as well, and I teach it really well. But the Treaty of Paris here ends the Spanish-American War. Now, this is important. So Spain turns over Guam in the Pacific and Puerto Rico in the West Indies. So the United States gets these islands, still part of America today. Puerto Rico is. Some have thought of it as maybe becoming the 51st state in America, but it's not. It's not a state yet, but it is a territory in America. Spain sold the Philippines to the United States for $20 million. All right. Now we don't have the Philippines anymore, but I'll talk about that probably tomorrow. So the United States gets Guam, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and well, I guess we'll get to Cuba here in a second. So with the Philippines, McKinley says there's nothing left for us to do but take them and educate them and uplift them and Christianize them. Well, what is that statement implying about President McKinley's view of those Filipinos? It's implying that, one, they're uncivilized. And remember what I talked about yesterday, that white man's burden? That is America's burden to go and civilize, Christianize, educate, all those things you just said, educate those Filipinos, establish democracy over that territory. That goes along with the white man's burden. Again, debate over imperialism. Some feel that the treaty, it violates the principles of Declaration of Independence. So America is supposed to be for democracy, self-rule. That's the idea of it. But yet we're ruling over these territories. So it's violating those principles of the Declaration of Independence in that all men are created equal. All right, they all have a right to pursue the pursuit of happiness, life, and liberty, freedom. Freedom is liberty, right? Well, they don't really have liberty if we're ruling over them in Puerto Rico and Guam and the Philippines. All right, the last one, this is on the slide, is in Cuba. So Cuba becomes its own nation, all right, with this end of the Spanish-American War. But now the United States, I think I'm going to go over this tomorrow, will still have a hand in Cuba. Meaning, what does that mean, right? Well, what it means is we still have a naval base in Cuba, even today. All right, I've been to Cuba. And the only reason I got to go there was because when I was in the Marine Corps, we went to Guantanamo Bay. That's the naval base that we still have in Cuba. So even though Cuba got its autonomy or got its freedom, it didn't really get total and complete freedom from United States involvement. Right. So look, the assignment is the Spanish-American War assignment. So I'm going to upload this video for you. You can look at it. You can listen to it. I would if I were you. Matter of fact, I'm going to listen to it on my own right here in a little bit. There's also a PowerPoint about the Spanish-American War, so that should clarify some things about the Spanish-American War for you. And the assignment is also on Canvas.